Hello, and welcome to the Finny Games. It's your host, BBG, aka BrokeBlackGamer. What's good, my BGs? Today I wanted to talk about my 7 months experience so far of owning the 4080 Super. Before I purchased the card, I was originally looking for a 3090 or a 3090 Ti for the extra amount of VRAM. And then I saw some benchmarks and reviews, and I saw that the 4080 Super actually was more powerful than those two cards, and I figured that for $1,000 wouldn't be bad. I was able to get it at MSRP for $999, and all of the 3090s and 3090 Ti's that were available in my area or in Micro Center or Newegg, those were all selling for well over $1,000. And I saw that this GPU, the 4080 Super, had greater performance. So for me, it was a no-brainer to go with the 4080 Super. When I got the 4080 Super, I heard rumors immediately later that the 50 series was coming out, and I was upset because I figured the 4080 Super might drop in price, and then it would be insignificant, and they would roll out a 5080 with significant more amounts of VRAM. However, that's not what happened. The 50 series saw minimal improvement, and it wasn't as big of a leap as we originally thought that we would get. And because of that, I was a little bit more happy later that the 4080 Super stayed somewhat relevant. I was iffy about the 16 gigabytes of VRAM at first because there were some games with mods, especially I'm a big modder, and 4K texture packs that required more than 16 gigabytes of VRAM. And for me, that was a huge concern because if we're already seeing 16 gigabytes being pushed to the brink right now, what does that mean for 4 or 5 years down the line? When I build a PC, I usually like to keep it for about 4 or 5 years. I didn't want my 4080 Super to be struggling with anything immediately out of the box, and unfortunately that seemed to be the case. But I was actually happy that the 4080 Super was pretty comparable to the 5070 Ti. It's not too much weaker than the 5080, and both of those cards were released with 16 gigabytes of VRAM, and I know that if those newer cards have the same amount of VRAM, that it was nothing really to worry about. But my other concern was when the 50 series released, that DLSS 4 would be exclusive to the 50 series cards. But NVIDIA actually surprised me, and they rolled out DLSS 4 for the 40 series cards, and that completely changed my experience with the 4080 Super. Ever since DLSS 4 released, picture looked a lot better. They cleared up a lot of the blurry images that we would see, and when the DLSS 4 came out, I was actually able to play in 1440p with good looking DLSS. DLSS 4 for me, it really added life, and it really saved my 4080 Super experience. I know not everyone's a fan of upscalers, but I think most people are fans of DLSS 4 and FSR 4. And not only that, I can play it with 1440p quality with path tracing. And for me, that's huge because I do love the NVIDIA features. And at first, for example, when I was playing Cyberpunk and I tried to play 4K quality with path tracing, my experience was not too good. And then later on, I would try playing 1440p with path tracing, and that experience wasn't that great either, just because of how blurry the picture looked. I wasn't a fan of DLSS 3 1440p quality, or especially performance. But DLSS 4 1440p quality looks great, and I get high frame rates when I'm doing that, high enough frame rates, especially even in demanding games like Cyberpunk. But the 4080 Super, for me, it's been an interesting experience since I've broken my ankle. I've had more time to sit down and actually play with the card. And I know it's discontinued already, which is kind of weird for me because they discontinued it before it was even out for a year. And I wish I could sit here and recommend the card, but they don't even really sell it anymore. And it's selling at crazy prices if you can find it new. But if you have a 4080 Super, let me know. Are you enjoying it, and how do you feel about the experience? I mean, it's not too different from a 4080. Has similar performance to a 9070 XT, so if you're getting one of those GPUs, I know that you'll really enjoy the card. So I've actually downgraded my monitor to a 1440p monitor, and I've really been enjoying the 1440p experience with the 4080 Super. And if there's games that where ray tracing or path tracing don't really make too big of a difference, I play in 4K with ray tracing. There were some misconceptions that this wasn't a true 4K card. It can easily run 4K as long as you don't have path tracing enabled. But it is a 1440p path tracing card. It is definitely a 4K ray tracing card. This card eats ray tracing like there's no tomorrow. I can play pretty much any game. You don't really have to worry, and it will be a good GPU for a few years. And I'll probably definitely hold on to it until like at least the 60 series comes out. If AMD considers releasing another high-end GPU in the future, I might get that. And who knows, by then maybe Intel might even release a high-end GPU. I doubt it, but if they did, it would be something I'm worth considering, because I don't want to be married to one brand. But I have to say that overall, I am actually happy with the 4080 Super, and I would definitely say that it's not obsolete. It probably never was. A lot of that was just my fear of FOMO and missing out. But since I've just been sitting down and actually playing the 4080 Super, I've actually found that I really enjoyed the card. And I wish I would have enjoyed my card since the beginning it came out, instead of just worrying about having the hottest and latest item and keeping up with the neighbors and the latest tech of what comes out. Because that's not what it's about at the end of the day. I'm not a big tech channel. I'm not a rich person. And for me, like coming off of a 2080 Ti, this was a big enough leap. And I've also noticed that I really do just play my old games, and I like going back and playing old games, especially from when ray tracing first came out, like the 2017, 2018-ish era. I like going back and maxing out and playing those games and seeing how they were supposed to be played, because my 2080 Ti really did struggle with a lot of those games. So I hope if you have a 4080 Super, you're enjoying it. And so I could easily recommend a 5070 Ti, a 9070 XT, because cards around that ballpark or greater, I do believe they'll hold up for a while, especially with DLSS 4 and FSR 4. So a lot of my fears that I had for the card, they actually have been addressed, and I want to spend more time playing with the card and actually just enjoy it. I've watched a lot of fear-mongering videos about it being obsolete and all these other things, and at the end of the day, those videos, I mean, they're not really that helpful, because it's hard to get GPUs. I'm pretty grateful to have it, and I'm grateful that I can play any game I want without having to worry. And I'm grateful that like I don't have to worry about where my next GPU is going to come from. And I'm happy that I'm not like trying to get a GPU right now in this craziness. So like at first I originally thought that buying it back in September was a mistake. But now in hindsight, I'm actually glad that I did it, because literally the next month after that, that's when everything went. So if this GPU was a regular price, or there's a relative GPU around it, I would recommend it. It's a great experience. And I do think 1440p path tracing is a great enhancement. And I do not mind dropping from 4K to 1440p, especially for the path tracing experience. This was a short video today. My leg's still in a lot of pain. I just wanted to update some people because they were wondering how I'm liking the 4080 Super, because I was like, the 4080 Super is obsolete. But that video was actually, I never actually planned on making a YouTube channel. I had just noticed that like during last year, there were a lot of people were just complaining on YouTube about like their life crises. And like I got in the car one day and I just started talking about Dragon Ball. Then the next day I started freaking out about paying $1,000 for a 4080 Super after I had lost my job. So I was like, oh my God, why did I just pay over $1,000 for a GPU when I literally just lost my job? That was the dumbest thing I ever did. And I started freaking out, thinking it was going to be obsolete and all this other stuff. And that's actually what started my channel, just me freaking out. And that's why I originally started everything. But I have to say now, I don't regret buying it. And since I haven't been able to walk, and sorry if I seem like I'm acting weird, my leg is just in a lot of pain. But yeah, like I really sorry guys, I've really enjoyed the 4080 Super so far. Actually, I'm starting to break into cold sweats. I'm in a lot of pain, but I just want to say that the 4080 Super, it is a good card, and I do recommend it, or anything better, 5070 Ti, 9070 XT. If you get any of these cards, I think you're in for a real treat. Never trust anyone who says you're in for a real treat. I don't know why I just said it, because it's usually not a treat. It's usually something creepy. But anyway, I hope you enjoy your 4080 and your 4080 Super, or your 9070 XT, or your 5070 Ti, or whatever variant it comes in. The Finny games are over for today. I'd also like to mention that my Discord is now live, so if you are interested in the community and you want to help it grow, and you want to be a part of the BG experience, please join the Discord. It will be in the link below. It's finally ready. Thank you all for your patience, and look forward to seeing y'all there. Thank you.